Seekers of the Lost Creek Mine, Part 5. Wally sees Kaiser looking across the canyon, aiming his gun at the angry Kaiser. "You're just a dreaming loser," Wally screams. "Kaiser, down!" Daryl yells as he watches Wally's bullets ripping into Kaiser's shoulder. Blood splatters, but Kaiser does not fall. He keeps limping on his own down into the canyon. The bullet from Wally's shot has just grazed his shoulder. Greg and Daryl stagger after him. "Where's the gold, Trent? Did you pick up all the gold?" "Whatever you have found belongs to me," Kaiser screams. "Didn't you get all the nuggets out of the red rock?" "We didn't even look there, old man. We were looking for your gold vein in the back of the canyon on the map that Trent stole from you, but we couldn't find it. It's a pipe dream, Kaiser," Wally yells. Kaiser falls to his knees and looks up into the sky and falls, his heart cracking in half as reality shatters his vision. "Back to the trailer park, old man," Trent laughs. "Or maybe I should just put you out of your misery," Trent says, aiming his shotgun at Kaiser's head. Daryl takes aim at Trent with his .38. Kabam, kaboom, his shots echo across the canyon. His bullet hit Trent's shotgun, knocking it from his hands. Daryl runs over and grabs Kaiser, helping the broken-hearted prospector to his feet. "Why even believe?" Kaiser grumbles into the vastness of the mountains. Daryl looks around across the canyon and sees a huge rock next to the river. East, it's in the exact shape of a tent. "Now that's the tent-shaped rock I see when I read the Jackson letter," Daryl states, looking over at the rock. "Over here, Kaiser," Greg says. Daryl and Greg suggest... Oh, fuck. "Over here, Kaiser," Daryl suggests, leading the group over towards the rock. Daryl grabs Kaiser and helps him towards the tent-shaped rock. Trent loads his shotgun, looks up in the sky nervously, and asks for the help of Jesus, and stands up, aiming his shotgun at Kaiser and Daryl as they walk across the canyon towards the tent-shaped rock. "Kabam, kaboom, kaboom! There's nothing but specks here, old man," he yells as his shots hit the canyon walls. Daryl ducks down behind the rock, drawing his .38 and returns fire. Kabam, kaboom! Daryl's shot hits close to Wally, one ripping into his ankle. Wally's bones splinter as he falls to the ground, screaming in blood-curdling agony. Trent Styler runs over to where his fallen friend lays on the ground, gasping. Trent takes a towel from his bag and wraps it around the wound of Wally's leg, pulling it as tight as he can. "We gotta get out of here, Trent. Screw Jackson and his gold. I want to see my kid's first birthday. Friesen will pay for what he has done today, Wally. He will pay." Greg takes out his first aid kit and begins treating Kaiser's wound. "No time for that now, Henderson," Kaiser pants as he bleeds. "Friesen, you know where we are. It's Jackson's real tent-shaped rock. Start digging." "Got any damn whiskey, Friesen?" Kaiser demands. "Wonder why they're not coming out," Trent observes as he sits with Wally, watching Kaiser and gang through his binoculars from the safety of his perch behind the almond-shaped rock. Daryl takes out his army fold-out shovel. "Shouldn't this rock have a mark on it of some sort?" Daryl observes. "Are you blind?" Kaiser grunts, pointing to a large gash, the kind that looks like a cross carved in the face of the rock in front of him where he digs. Daryl begins digging and Greg soon joins them. The two prospectors begin digging madly in one God-help-them last attempt to find Jackson's buried backpack of gold that he also mentions in his letter. Wally looks over at the rock and notices dirt flying in the air and making a small pile just behind the tent-shaped rock. "Those bastards are digging something," Trent observes with anger. "But why there?" Trent looks at the tent-shaped rock, takes out his map he stole from Kaiser, comparing to it, and remembers that Jackson's letter, that literary masterpiece that's haunted him since he first read it. Like it has all of us. "They're digging for Jackson's backpack of gold, Wally, but they're not getting it, Wally." Trent reaches down and picks up Wally's fallen rifle. Clunk goes Daryl's shovel, hitting a metal object buried in the sandy gravel. Greg pulls out his pick. Daryl digs his hands in the sand, searching for the edges of the object. Daryl pulls on the object, and out of the sand pops a dirty old shovel blade. Maybe Jackson buried it as a marker. Maybe there's something underneath it. Maybe it's his shovel blade. Daryl suggests. "Stop what you're doing right now, or I open fire," Trent yells, standing just behind the dig, up on the cliff with his rifle pointing at the digging prospectors. Kaiser reaches behind his back and pulls out his .45. Boom, boom. His shot breaks loose the rocks under Trent's feet, and he tumbles down the cliff, crashing down near the excavation, landing on a slab of bedrock, dropping his rifle, falling into a crack and out of his reach. Kaiser stands above Trent, his .45 aiming at his head. "I really should do it." Kaiser grins, his fingers slowly squeezing the trigger. "Enough of this trying to kill each other for fucking gold," Greg orders. "This out-of-control gold fever is insanity." "You mind your own business, lost cold canyon found," Kaiser curses. Daryl digs madly in the hole, his soul burning with the hopes of some kind of redemption, as he tosses shovel load after shovel of gravel over his shoulder when he hits something solid. Clunk goes his shovel again. That feels nice and solid, Daryl says with a grin. It's probably just a rock, Kaiser curses. Daryl and Greg both jump into the hole and start removing the dirt around the object. An old leather backpack begins to reveal itself, as does an old bony skeleton hand, appearing from under the dirt, clutching the backpack. I wonder who that could be, Kaiser grins. Maybe it's Jackson's unknown partner, Daryl suggests, the one he shot in the back. Let's not worry about history now. All that matters is the gold, Greg says, reaching into and pulling out the backpack. It's really heavy, Greg grins. Daryl reaches over and pulls on it, and the two prospectors rip the ancient backpack from the unknown prospector's dead hands. Dragging the backpack from the ground, it hits a sharp piece of granite and splits open, and gold nuggets and rocks spill from it, out sliding across the chunk of bare granite next to the hole. Gold! Trent gasps as he falls to his knees, falling on the granite, his hands grasping at the falling nuggets. Kaiser looks at the gold and falls to his knees and puts the palms of his hands together and actually thanks God, and he means it. As he catches tumbling gold nuggets in his hands, his faith is restored. But such moments of grace don't last long in this world. Cowering behind the almond-shaped rock across the valley, nursing his leg wound, Wally listens to the sounds of triumph from across the valley. Those bastards found something over there without me. Wally takes his pistol from his old jacket he has in his bag. He manages to stand up using a rifle for a crutch, and he walks over towards the tent-shaped rock, sneaking around the back with his pistol drawn. Don't smile too much, Kaiser, Wally laughs. Party's over, those nuggets are mine, he says, standing there with his gun. And Friesen, you bastard, stand up and shut up. You two just dug your own graves, Wally grins. Looks like someone else is already buried in the hole, Wally, Kaiser laughs, pointing his 45 at the two prospectors, his fingers slowly squeezing the trigger. Kaboom! Greg and Daryl leap out of the way of Wally's badly aimed shots. Kaiser leaps on Wally, knocking him off his feet. Tyler reaches for Greg's pick and swings it at Kaiser, who misses. Daryl grabs Trent Styler, getting him in a headlock and punching him hard in the face. Greg grabs Daryl's fallen .38 and fires it into the air. Enough, he yells. Kaboom, bam, boom. The sounds of a helicopter can be heard rumbling over the mountains. Everyone stops fighting as it does. Who the hell is that? Kaiser says in fear as the blue and white RCMP It's the cops, Trent curses, rubbing his bloody nose. Why the hell are they here? The helicopter begins to land just south of their location. They must be following you, Trent, you drug dealer. Or how about Friesen, the fame whore? Probably posted on the internet you were coming here, Kaiser curses. Shut up, Kaiser. If they see what we found, they're just going to take it, Daryl explains frantically. Well, I'm not returning home empty-handed again, Kaiser replies, filling his pocket with nuggets. Daryl and the rest of the prospectors do the same. Wait a minute. If the cops find any of these nuggets on us, we're going to jail. The RCMP helicopter lands and the officers step out of it. One of them yells into a bullhorn. Prospectors, you are prospecting in a provincial park. Come out with your hands up. Lay down your weapons. They're coming up the canyon. Bury the rest of the gold, Kaiser orders, his voice cracking with pain as he empties his pockets, tossing his gold into the hole next to the dead prospector's hand. In panic and fear as the group buries the gold they had just found. We have to be rid of these too, Kaiser says, taking out his gun. Daryl tosses his gun into the hole, as does Wally his rifle. They all dig frantically, pushing the dirt back into the hole and covering the Jackson cache once again. They all dig frantically, pushing the dirt back into the hole and covering the Jackson cache once again. It's so sad, Kaiser grumbles, as he watches the dirt cover his found fortune. Sometimes it seems the gold of the Lost Creek mine just wasn't want to be found, Daryl suggests. Now's the time, Greg said, stepping out from behind the tent-shaped rock, followed by a limping Kaiser, Daryl, a limping Wally, and a dazed Trent Styler. The prospectors raise their hands in the air. Stand where you are, drop your weapons, and no one will get hurt. You're under arrest for gold prospecting in a protected area, the police officer's voice booms through the canyon. A second large black helicopter appears over the mountains, dropping down in a clear area. That's no cop chopper, it's a military chopper. Maybe we should make a run for it, Trent cries. The police walk up to the group. Down on your knees, the cop yells. He walks up behind Kaiser and Daryl and slaps them in handcuffs, as well as Greg and rest of the group. They are led over towards the black military helicopter. The back of the helicopter opens and two armed soldiers step out. The prospectors are loaded into the back and seat belted in. The helicopter closes up and takes off over the mountaintops. The helicopter flies out of the Pit Lake Mountains, landing at Abbotsford Airport. Two RCMP and an ambulance are waiting for the helicopter's arrival. I guess our next stop is jail, eh, fellas? Kaiser jokes, especially for you, eh, Styler? Shut up, Kaiser. I swear to God I'll kill you one day. Enough already. One of the cops orders as the helicopter lands on the runway. To your feet. The weary prospectors, now prisoners, stand to their feet as the back of the helicopter opens. "Follow me, prisoners." The 2 soldiers and the 5 men stumble out of the helicopter and into the arms of the RCMP. 2 of the men are The officer leads them to the RCMP paddy wagon. "My wife is going to kill me," Greg grumbles as he takes a seat. "Not anymore." "Yep, this will lead to my divorce," Daryl grumbles. "She might call it the last straw." Daryl, Greg, and Trent Styler are taken to an RCMP detachment along with Wally. They're escorted into a little room with a table and 4 chairs. Within a few minutes, a balding man in a suit with a big mustache carrying a file comes into the room. "Gentlemen, don't look so worried. It's your lucky day. The Crown has no real evidence you were gold prospecting illegally. We only were tipped off. But I've been instructed to tell you that the government is still highly suspect of you, and if any of you are caught in a park flipping over a rock, you'll be jailed." "How did you even know where we were?" "As I said, we were tipped off. You're free to go unless you want to stay here and ask more questions that are none of your business," the officer suggests. "You're free to go, but you, Mr. Styler, and your friend Wally Smithers, there's a warrant for your arrest on narcotics charges," the officer orders. "But I didn't do anything," Trent gasps. "Give it up, Trent." "We did," Wally sighs. "Selling crystal meth to minors is not nothing," the officer says. "Have a seat, Mr. Styler." Daryl, Greg, and Kaiser stand up and follow the suit out of the room. Trent looks around, breaks down, and starts to cry. Wally pats him on the back. "Friesen, you will pay," Wally says as Daryl walks by. The 3 prospectors walk out of the police station in a stunned silence. "So now what?" "All the gold is still up there. We have to go back," Kaiser suggests. The gold fever still pumping through his veins. The sky grows dark over their heads, and there's a crash of thunder and lightning as the heavens open up, pouring rain on the heads of the prospectors. "Well, gentlemen, it looks like it's time to go back to life," Daryl suggests, as a cab pulls up to the curb in front of him. "Till we meet again," Greg says, reaching out his hand and shaking the hands of Daryl and Kaiser. We will go back soon," Greg says, as a van pulls up to the curb in front of him, driven by his daughter. He waves, jumps into the van, and disappears into the night. "What about you, Kaiser?" Daryl says. "That's my wife right there," Kaiser says, running over to his Monte Carlo being driven by his wife. He gets in and heads off into the night back to Little Beach Trailer Park. But this time with hope and not empty-handed. He opens the door of his car, holds his breath, and gets inside. Bev, his wife, sits at the wheel, smoke in her hand. "Peter, you son of a bitch, let me guess your treasure hunt turned up empty," she laughs, taking a drag of her smoke. Kaiser reaches down to his boot and takes it off. "You could at least leave your stinky boots on till we get home." Kaiser grins and twists the ankle of his boot, which reveals a hidden compartment where he has stuffed 2 walnut-sized nuggets. He lets them fall in the seats of the old Monte Carlo next to his wife. "Gold," she laughs. "Gold, you actually found gold." "We did," he grins. "We did," as she steps on the gas and Kaiser and Bev race off into the night. Daryl jumps in the cab, closes the door, and heads off into the night back to home. Hope is still there, he thinks to himself. Hope it's all still there, he thinks to himself, as the Daryl jumps into the cab, closes the door, and heads off into the night back to home. Hope it's all still there when we go in back next year, he thinks to himself, as the rain, now mixed with snow, pours down on the cab. The doors of the Lost Creek Mine are now closed for this year. But our adventure does not stop here. This is the end of Seekers of Gold. The end of Seekers of the Lost Creek Mine, as far as going into Pit Lake for that year. But the adventure does continue. It continues in what I've called Seekers of the Mitchell Hedges Treasure Part 1. Chapter 1, A Mysterious Phone Call. Daryl wakes up in the middle of the night, the light on his cell phone blinking blue. He reaches over and boots up his phone. Several people have liked his Slumax Lost Creek Gold Mine saga page. His phone suddenly starts ringing, making Luna bark. Daryl looks at the number with concern, as it was an unknown number, but he answered it. "Hello? Can I please speak to Daryl Friesen?" "Can I ask who's calling?" Daryl asks nervously. "My name is J.J. Fino." This is Daryl. What can I help you with, Fino?" Daryl asks. "I've read your book and watched all your videos, and I think I can help you." "Help me with what? Is this Lost Creek Mine related?" Daryl asks curiously. "If it is, trust me, I've heard it all." "No, actually, it's Honduras, Nicaragua related. I've read your Rotan Island stories, and all I can say is you were close." Images of his failed search for the Mitchell Hedges chest come flooding into Daryl's mind. "I used to read the Treasure Hunter's Insider as well." "Meet me at the Great Wall Chinese restaurant tonight at 7, and I will tell you more." Okay, I will be there. Daryl agrees with great curiosity as Phino, the mystery man, hangs up. Luna looks at Daryl, barking madly. No, I don't know who it is, was all Daryl says to Luna, turning and walking back to the house. Dark clouds block out the sun. It begins pouring rain once again. It would sure be good to get out of town and away from the shadow of the mountains, Daryl thinks to himself. Chapter 2. A new quest begins. And that's where I'll leave it. So if you want to hear any more of that, I'll keep going. Like what you heard. Comment. Say something. If you've gotten this far, say something. Because, I don't know. I hope giving all this away out there to the YouTube audience is worth it. I hope that you've enjoyed what you've heard, or if it's done anything for you, or you just think it's, I don't know. This is a very precarious position to be in where I'm at. Anyway, whoever you are out there, I hope you find what you're looking for. You find the gold you're looking for, the hope you're looking for, whatever it is you're looking for, because you got to be looking for something. We all are, aren't we? Out.